Welcome back, students, to the second part of chapter number 9, that is energy resources. The following images used in this video are taken from different internet websites. This video is presented by Grecienne Misquitta. In the previous part, we looked at the meaning of energy resources, the different types of energy resources like renewable, non-renewable, biotic, abiotic. We also looked at in depth the meaning of substance-based energy resources and process-based energy resources. We also began with the different types of substance based energy resources, where we covered wood, coal, mineral oil, and natural gas. Our learning objectives for today's video are atomic energy, hydropower, wind energy, solar energy, tidal energy, and geothermal energy. Let's look at the meaning of biogas. So, biogas is basically a biofuel that is produced through organic matter. Biogas is obtained through organic waste, which is then turned into energy. Biogas basically is composed of methane and carbon dioxide. It is also called as renewable natural gas. Many farmers have raised biogas plants in their own yards. Now, let's talk about how energy can be obtained from waste material, just like we spoke about biogas. Waste is generated daily on a very large scale in big cities. Waste disposal is a major problem in such places. Hence, it is very necessary to separate biotic waste from abiotic waste. This waste can be segregated to use the biotic component to generate gas. This gas can then be used to generate power. In future, this may help to solve the problem of waste disposal in cities. Also, the cities can become self-reliant in terms of their power requirement. Self-reliant basically means independent and not depending on any other source. These energy resources are known as biofuels because they originate from the remains of dead animals and plants. The next type of energy resource we are going to talk about is atomic energy. Atomic energy is used in many countries for many peaceful applications in different areas such as generation of power, food preservation, health care, agriculture, industry, and research. Now let's talk about how atomic energy is generated or obtained through huge power plants. In order to generate atomic energy, it is necessary that one needs a pressurized water reactor. In a pressurized water reactor, water is heated at a very high temperatures through the splitting of the minerals uranium and thorium. That minerals can be used for power generation. In this process, Using very small quantities of minerals, energy can be generated on a very large scale to the cities around it. As you can see in this image, how the power plant functions. Well, students, let's discuss how many countries have these nuclear power plants present in their country. Only a few countries in the world generate atomic energy. As you can see in this image, which is the latest report of the number of operational reactors present in every country in the year 2019. As you can see, we have the United States of America having 97 reactors, France having 58 reactors, China having 47 reactors, Russia having 36 reactors, South Korea having 23 reactors, India having 21 reactors, Canada is having 18 reactors, United Kingdom is having 15 reactors, Ukraine is having 15 reactors, and finally, Japan is having 9 reactors. Not many countries in the world have these nuclear reactors. Now, students, let's have a quick recap of the meaning of process based energy resources. As we know, process based energy resources are obtained through natural processes. Examples of process based energy resources are the sun, wind, water, tides, etc. We also know that reuse is possible and that these processes cannot be limited and they last for a longer period of time. Generation of this type of energy is pollution free. We also know developing the technology for the use of these resources can be very expensive. But in the long run, these energy resources are environmental friendly. Hydropower is also known as hydropower or hydro energy. It is a form of renewable energy that uses the water stored in dams as well as flowing in rivers to create electricity in hydropower plants. Hydroelectric power is significant component for generation of electricity worldwide. Hydropower is the power obtained from the kinetic energy of running water. Kinetic energy is the energy that the object receives due to its motion. Hydropower does not cause any type of degradation or harm to the environment. It is also the water that is used in generating power and can still be used again. Bhakranangal Dam in Punjab and Koina in Maharashtra are examples of hydel power in India. The next type of energy we are going to talk about is wind energy. Wind energy is a form of solar energy. Wind is caused due to the uneven heating of the atmosphere through the sun and the differences in the earth's surface and rotation of the earth. Mountains, water bodies, and vegetation all influence the wind flow patterns. Wind turbines convert the kinetic energy in the wind into mechanical power, thus giving as electricity. Man has been using wind energy as a resource since hundreds of years, for example, in sailboats. But nowadays, wind energy is being utilized for power generation. For power generation, a wind speed of 40 to 50 kmph is required. Kmph is basically the unit of measurement. Due to this wind speed, the blades of the windmills turn, generating kinetic energy. This kinetic energy is further converted into electricity. This electricity can be used for agriculture, domestic use, and industries. In the states of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, etc., windmills have been erected at many places. Well, students, the next type of energy is what you must have learnt or come across at least once in your lifetime. That is solar energy. Solar energy or solar power is the energy obtained from the sun, which is then converted into electrical energy. Solar energy is the cleanest and renewable energy source that is available. Solar energy is not only used for generating electricity but also is used on a small scale for different purposes, such as in some countries, solar energy is used to produce salt from seawater by evaporation. Also, solar power units are used to transform salt water into drinking water by converting the sun's energy to heat directly or indirectly. Solar technology has also emerged for the clean and renewable production of hydrogen as an alternative energy source. As discussed before, we know that we get a lot of light and heat from the sun. We also have seen that the intensity of solar energy is the maximum in the torrid zone. The torrid zone basically falls on the equator. In a country like India, which is in the torrid zone, there is a lot of scope for using this type of solar energy. There is a solar power plant at Sakri in Dhule district of Maharashtra. Devices like cookers, lamps, heaters, vehicles can be run on solar power. The generation of solar power depends on the intensity of sun rays and the duration of sunshine. The next type of energy we are going to talk about is tidal energy. Tidal energy is produced by the strong movements of ocean waters during the rise and fall of tides. Tidal energy is also a type of renewable source of energy. This tidal energy was developed during the 20th centuries, where people tried to develop different ways to use tidal movements in order to produce electricity in places where there is significant tidal range. The difference in area between high tide and low tide. High tide is basically the water level that has risen as a result of the moon's gravitational pull on the earth. All methods use special machines to convert this tidal energy into electricity. Sea waves and tides are movements of ocean water that keep going on continuously. A technology has now been developed in order to generate power with the help of the speed and force of waves. Here too, electricity is obtained from kinetic energy. This tidal energy is pollution free and everlasting. It can be used on a large scale in a peninsular country like India. Efforts are on to start such projects in India. Tidal energy production is still in its early phase. The amount of power produced through this type of energy has been very small or less. There are only a few tidal power plants that are operating in the world today. The first power plant was located in Larance, that is in France, whereas the largest facility of the tidal power station is in South Korea. The last type of energy resource we are going to talk about is geothermal energy. Well, geothermal energy is obtained from the heat which is present within the earth. The word geothermal comes from the Greek word geo, that means earth, and therm, which means heat. Geothermal energy is a renewable energy source because heat is continuously produced within the earth. People use geothermal energy for bathing, sometimes to heat buildings, as well as to generate electricity. The slow decay of the radioactive particles within the Earth's core, a process that keeps happening in all rocks, produces this type of energy that we know as geothermal energy. Geothermal energy is usually obtained through hot water springs that have always been an object of curiosity for man. An hot water spring is a spring whose water issues at a temperature higher than that of its surrounding. They can be seen at Vajreshwari, Manikaran, etc. The temperature in the Earth's interior increases by 1 degree Celsius at a depth of every 32 meters. Man has now developed a process whereby this underground heat can be utilized to generate power. One such project is located at Manikaran, which is in Himachal Pradesh in India. All the above energy resources which we discussed are abiotic. These cause minimum pollution in the environment. They are also known as inexhaustible energy resources, which in other words means we have them in abundance and in unlimited nature. The demand for energy is constantly on the rise due to the growing needs of human beings. Thus, it becomes very necessary for us to use our energy resources very sparingly, especially the non renewable energy resources. Though we have resources easily available today, but if the use of these resources just keep increasing, then there will come a time when the prices of these energy resources will be high and people will fight for these resources. Non renewable energy resources like wood, coal, mineral oil, and natural gas require time to form. Energy resources must thus be used very carefully. The demand for energy is increasing all the time due to the growing population, urbanization, and growing needs of man. It is necessary to use an alternative and non conventional energy resource to meet these needs. It is also necessary to use energy very carefully. We must also avoid unnecessary use of electricity. Well, students, now let us have a quick recap of the different types of energy resources we covered in today's video. We looked at biogas and energy that can be obtained from waste materials. These two types of energy resources are also known as biofuels because they are obtained from the remains of dead plants and animals. The next type of energy resource we looked at is atomic energy. We saw how nuclear energy or atomic energy is obtained through huge power plants, and these reactors or power plants are available only in a few countries across the globe. Then we looked at the renewable type of energy resources, in which we looked at hydropower, which is also known as hydroelectricity, where electricity can be obtained through flowing water or running water. Then we also talked about wind energy and how wind energy can be useful again for generation of power. Well, this energy obtained from wind can be used for agriculture as well as the domestic use as well as in industries. Then we also talked about solar energy. How solar energy is obtained through light and heat from the sun. We also saw where solar energy is obtained at its highest, that is in the equatorial region, which is also known as torrid zone. Then we spoke about tidal energy, where energy can be obtained from sea waves and tides through ocean water to generate electricity. Well, the last type of energy resource that we spoke about is geothermal energy, where this energy is obtained due to the heat of the interior parts of the earth. Thank you, students, and hope you enjoyed this video.